Hello and welcome to the show. I am here at the Endurodrome, going to be driving 3 more cars till destruction, starting with the Satsuma. Yes, the classic little vehicle is going to get its chance around here. Now, this is not a mad, crazy, rotary, massive turbo version. This is the 1500 Deluxe. It is a fairly Boggo standard sort of Satsuma. Well, I say Boggo standard. It is a deluxe version, so it's perhaps a little bit more comfortable. It's got, hopefully, and this is what might keep the car alive for a decent amount of time, that all-important wobble-matic suspension. We saw what it did for the Miramar. We saw how well the Miramar survived around this circuit because the suspension could soak up the bumps and mitigate the damage. However, when it does get broken, it tends to fail quite catastrophically and spectacular, as we saw with the Regency. Oh, god. And it can also bounce cars around and lead them into some trouble. They can bounce and roll and fall over and do extra damage to themselves that way. The engine in this is not the most powerful engine in existence, no, but it should be good enough to get the car up to, enough speed to get across the jumps that need it, to get across the rocks without clonking everything on the underside of it. So we should be, theoretically, fingers crossed and everything, alright with that. We don't have a huge amount of grip heading into the mud pit, for example. Oh, I think we might have bent or buckled something important in the steering. Oh, that's another big jump. It's fine. Have we got wobbly wheels at the front? Okay, the front right doesn't look all that healthy. We've just kind of got to, oh god, we got to go for it and hope for the best. Hope that it doesn't get snapped off. Now, from a long time ago, when I drove this vehicle last, it was quite easy to bend the steering rack. You actually essentially twisted the steering rack itself, so steering was nigh on impossible. Well, the wobble-matic suspension is not doing well down here. The wobble-matic suspension is, we've lost a door. We've lost a door. The first casualty on the Satsuma is actually an unusual one. You don't normally see the door ping off before the hubcaps. Normally the hubcaps will go first, but no, this time the Satsuma wants to be different. In fact, we might almost lose both doors down the left-hand side there. I mean, it's shedding weight. It is a Satsuma Superleggera, although we don't really have much control coming up here. Oh, we were close to being fast enough, but not quite. I'm a little concerned now with that door under the wheels. Ooh. Okay, it's getting thrown around. Okay, and my fear about the steering, the suspension is starting to get bent. The steering rack at the front is getting bent. The car is pulling very badly to the left-hand side. Could that door do the decent thing? It's not really catching on the wheel, so I'm not sure I want to try and mess around pulling it off, because I might end up breaking things worse. Yeah, we are in trouble. We are inconvenienced by the bent steering. We are inconvenienced, and it's the sort of thing that is easy to make little mistakes with, or get bounced around with. How is our suspension doing, do we reckon? It does look like, okay, so the rear right. So the steering rack is a little twisted. The rear right wheel, I think that suspension's collapsed on that corner. If both sides go, we might be in trouble. We might actually be in trouble of just bouncing the car around a little bit too much. And, oh, God. Sorry, engine. I'm driving the engine a little bit too hard, trying to keep up my speed in this one. We can't get away with kind of over-revving the engine too much in these classic cars. We're going to be pinged about a little bit. Yes, we are. Have we lost the door? No, the door's just crumpled into the underside of the car. I'm fine with that. That keeps the door out of the way. Keeps the door out of the way. It's not really interfering with the car anyway. Rocks, please don't catch my steering rack. Rocks, please do not catch the steering rack. Please do not do mean things. I've got to keep up momentum through the mud pit. This won't be the best car. It doesn't have the power to be the best car at getting through the mud pit. We are across the rocks relatively nicely. That's a big hit on the front. Still, we can steer, though. Importantly, we can still steer. It's not really suspension anymore. It's just bouncing the car around. Is just pinging the car back up into the sky on just about every single landing. What are we going to do down here? This, well, it doesn't look the worst bit. This just looks like an innocuous straight. This actually does some real punishment to the suspension, because you're going fairly quick down here. You're doing 50 or so miles an hour. I can't stop. Thankfully, it's pretty tough on the old head-on collisions. Gee, well done, Satsuma. I had no control over that car. Like, there was none. I was at the full mercy. When I realised I was no longer steering or able to do anything, I was on the brakes. And it was just bouncing and going in a direction that it wanted to. Well done. The front of the car is solid as anything. Although this is about to go really badly wrong for the Satsuma. I'm sorry, Satsuma. I can't do much about that. Although it's ridden that one out fairly well. Oh, Christ, those bumps. I don't even know what we hit there. Something pinged the car back up. I don't know if our rear suspension is still working. That's a lot of clonking on the front of the car. Right, I mean, I don't even need to turn around this corner here anymore. That's the extent of how broken the suspension is, or the steering, sorry, is. Christ, yeah, so you just can't even take a normal line out of there. It just pulls so badly. For now, it's okay in that I can still, it's not good, but I can still steer it enough to the right to make the few, not that there are very many, but to make the few of the right-hand turns. We can, oh, front end, please no. It's not going to last too many more hits of those before we will lose steering, I think. The radiator, well done for holding on. We've had a couple of actually pretty nasty hits on the front of the car, and it's still going. No, don't pull that way. Please stop pulling that way. Please stop pulling that way. Speed bumps aren't going to be making this better. Oh, that hit very hard. Again, no, it's still working. I don't think the suspension at the front is happy, but it is still clinging all together. This is a good showing. This is a good showing from the Satsuma. It's going to get thrown about a bit more, yes. It's going to get thrown about. But it's not getting thrown about. This is kind of one of those cars that at just the perfect speed. It's fast enough. I should be careful saying this, but it's fast enough to make all of the jumps that need to be made. All of the bits that need to be cleared. It's quick enough to do that, but not by so much that it can get itself into trouble by going, that mile an hour too fast, because you are only just quick enough. Although having said that, as it gets damaged, you then struggle to make speed. So it is possible that we might end up struggling to make some of these. I'm struggling to keep the car. Uh-oh. That's a lot of rocks on the underside. How long will the steering hold? This is the question now. How long will the steering hold? Will it lead to a big mistake? Will it lead to the car being just carted off into a rock? We can still just about counter. We can still turn. The important thing is we can turn right. But it is only just at the moment. It's only just good enough. It will take one big hit, and that will probably tweak the steering beyond all sort of use. Such a mean section down there to this car. That is such a punishing section. Okay, Satsuma, here is what we need. We need a good run from you down here. We need a good amount of speed. I need you to stop pulling left. Stop pulling left. Hit the jump with the speed. That's not good. That's not good. Oh, it's quite impressively parked. Do we still have steering? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We still have enough steering to continue. I mean, yeah, the front subframe is, I fear, quite close to almost falling off. I have a horrible feeling. Maybe the door is like protecting some of the engine bits, because the front is now very, very broken. Those jumps are really taking their toll on the Satsuma. There's no real suspension travel anymore in the front end, and when you lose that suspension travel entirely, you are just doing damage to important bits. Basically, is from what we've seen in previous runs. However, the Satsuma lives to fight another lap. Can it go as far as the Miramar? I think the steering will probably give up. I mean, I'm amazed the radiator hasn't been hit. The temperature actually is starting to creep up on its own, just by virtue of the fact that I have to drive the cars hard in this series. I have to race them as flat out as they can be, depending on their condition and what car, naturally, as flat out as they can be. And the engine is getting a little warm from all of this. So I guess we might overheat it if the radiator does go. Oh, whoa. Oh. I think we actually blew the engine to bits. I think maybe as that rolled, I did not let off the throttle soon enough. We kind of blew the engine to bits. Well, I mean, the steering was very, very poorly, as you can see by the state that that is in. That steering is not happy. The suspension was going... It's either that or I caught the engine on the curb. I'm not sure if we caught the engine on the curb as we went over there. We were kind of clonking and smacking around, so I guess that might be possible. That is a very dead Satsuma. That is a very dead Satsuma. It put up a damn good fight, though. Well, so far, classic little cars have done very well in this series. Modern little cars, not quite so much. The Bitron and Fayette have gone out both from fire and fuel tank related issues, so I'm not had a huge amount of hope. I don't think we're going to have a fuel tank failure on the Corvettes. This particular one, we've got a 1.5 litre turbocharged all-wheel drive version, so it's actually pretty nippy. It's not crazy sport version of a car, it's not a rally car though. It's just got a decent amount of speed, decent handling. Probably not quite the full-on Wobble-matic suspension that we got from the Murama or from the Satsuma. It's somewhere in between. Might be good, might be quite good. We're just hoping this to go furthest of the little cars, the little modern cars. All-wheel drive, pretty helpful. We lose a wheel, we lose a drive shaft, we can keep going. However, we don't want to be losing a wheel. One of the issues we can have is if a tie rod snaps on the steering and one of the wheels is still somehow getting drive, then you have problems with a out-of-control wheel basically dragging your car around into places you don't want to go. We're going to hope that I don't manage to do that one. It is one of the downsides of all-wheel drive cars sometimes. Actually got across the rocks there quite nicely. How is our suspension going to fare? Probably not so well if we do that. We're going to ground to a halt. Now, as ever, I'm allowed to right the cars if they fall over. Got to do it as quickly as I can, though, as I'm not allowed to turn the engines off to negate any damage from the oil starvation. Unfortunately, in that roll, we have lost the radiator. It's not going to be good news for the Corvette. Problem with small, kind of powerful-ish cars like this, with their turbocharged engines, they get hot, and they get hot very quickly. And overheating, if something else doesn't kill it, overheating probably won't take too long. Ooh, steering's a little bit funky. Steering's a lot bit funky, actually, in this. Is that because of... Ooh, that front left is looking not very healthy. Ooh, we've clonked the front of the car as well. Okay, suspension doesn't really look like there is any anymore. Oh, there's definitely nothing at the back. I think the back might even be all seized up. I mean, okay, I don't think we have much in the way of rear suspension anymore. I guess we will find out fairly quickly if the back end bounces around massively on the landing of this jump. Okay, it's not as bad. It's not as bad as some cars. It's not as bad as we have seen. It's not. It's definitely quite poorly. Well, we are... No, don't say that just yet. We'll just leave it. I think we are going to safely say we will beat the Bitron, though, and we will beat... We have beaten the Fayette. I think we've beaten the Bitron now. That was on fire as everything went terribly wrong for that car. So we have made it further. This will do the best out of the small modern cars. I actually glided across the speed bumps. Lovely. That time around, didn't do any additional damage to the, well, broken bits of the car, or the already broken bits of the car around the front left wheel. I mean, the bodywork's tattered up, that's kind of less important. It's what on earth is stuff going to do to the mechanics. The front right wheel is still looking fairly healthy, though. Kind of the important bits. Kind of the important bits, at least we've got one front wheel still okay. Rears don't look too bad. We can fly through the mud. Absolutely no problem there for the Corvette. Can we line it up across here? Yes, we can. Actually dances very elegantly across the rocks. Here, it's a little bit of a clonk. It's actually a bit of a clonk on the front left, which I could probably do without. Oh, that's going to be a clonk on everywhere. They think, though, we have managed mostly to get away. Minimal. Oh, we've got some crabbing going on. I mean, I would be concerned. We are very, very close to temperature overheating and engine failure from that. Yeah, not many of the wheels are pointing the way they should from the factory. I mean, it's still got turning. Yeah, that wheel. That's got a lot of camber and toe. Although, with everything bent at the front, it has actually kind of evened itself out quite nicely. Whoa, we're going to carry a lot of speed and spin, and we're round again. Oh. These speed bumps are going to do horrible things to this car because it's got no suspension left. This is all gone. Just all of the suspension has gone. Thankfully, for the suspension and for the car, the radiator... God, it is overheating now. I just saw the piston rings are gone in this. It might make it onto its third lap, though, if it doesn't have a catastrophic failure heading through here. It gets a little bit of a respite, slightly, because I've got to slow down, I've got to brake, I've got to turn. Just gives that engine a brief pause, although it is hard on the acceleration front once more. We will bounce our way across these jumps. That engine feels like it might be going. That's struggling to accelerate us anymore. Is not having a fun time. I've got to try and kind of keep as much momentum up as I can, because that engine is about to conk, and when it goes out, I've got to try and get the car to roll as far as possible. Oil is overheating. I'm actually surprised at the big puff of smoke from the engine. I'm surprised. It's doing pretty well. It is holding on very, very well. However... How much further can it go? It does not feel healthy here. There is nothing healthy in the covert. Can I line it up? Can we get it across the rocks? Can we keep up momentum through the mud pit? Come on, Covert, you can do this. You can do this. Show that you are a strong modern little car was what I was going for. Oh, that's gone. It's in the mud. No, don't die in the mud. You deserve better than that. You are going to roll out of them. There we go. At least have the dignity to die somewhere on the circuit. It's gone. Put up a good fight, actually. I'm impressed with that car. That put up a damn good fight. Yeah, suspension buckled. Wheels not at happy angles. However, kept going. It kept going with that punctured radiator fairly early on. That is not a bad distance whatsoever. The final vehicle to go around the Endurodrome today is going to be an ambulance. This is, well, it's the H-Series van, however it is in ambulance spec, so it's kind of based on that platform. Decent amount of power in this, not crazy, not a crazy engine here, however, a half-decent amount of power. It does have potentially the issue of weight. Now we see this with the buses, with the trucks. The heavy vehicles, well, there is a lot of weight, there is a lot of force, there's a lot of momentum even behind them. So when it comes to landing of the jumps, well, that goes through the chassis. And while the chassis might be stronger than a normal car's, they've also got so much more forces, so many more forces, much greater forces to deal with. This isn't going to be the worst, though. This could be a happy medium. This could sit somewhere in the middle. It could sit quite nicely between being strong, you know, a strong platform, a strong chassis, without having as much weight as a full-on truck. We don't steer very well. That was my bad. We've gone exploring slightly. I just carried too much speed. I don't know why I expected it to turn, like, better. I was going to say, like, I don't know what I expected it to turn like exactly through there. I just, yeah, carried a little too much. Little too much bravery from me. Now, these bumps, early bumps, probably aren't going to be too much of a problem. I'm not so worried about them. The drive shaft across the rocks is a concern. We are through this time. One of the things that I am finding immediately is it bounces a lot. The front end is spending more time in the air than it is on the road, and that is giving me grief in as far as I actually can't steer my vehicle very much. When the front wheels are wiggling around in the air, there is little I can do about steering. Christ is so happy. It is so happy to put its nose to the sky. All it wants to do is look up. Who knew? Who knew all ambulances actually wanted to do was look to the sky? Please don't clonk into that bit of concrete. We've already got away with the Satsuma having a massive crash there. So, if you could please not do that, it would be great. Come on, ambulance. Can you do the required, or the needed 60 and a bit miles an hour? It looks like it's going to be just spot on. Oh, big jump. Oh, that's done okay to survive that. I'm really surprised the drive shaft. And that's the sort of thing that would kill a truck. That would snap drive shafts on a full-on truck, but on this, it gets away with it. I mean, there was a little bit of concern I was going to snap the chassis in half there. We just about. Okay, camera is a little bit difficult to get through through the petrol station. I mean, the ambulance fits through the petrol station, so that's something at least. We're going to go for a big... Oh, another big wheelie. Oh, no! We've rolled. We have rolled the ambulance. Quickly, 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 quickly. Over. Perfect. I mean, that's one way to go. Certainly, that is one way to go. We don't even have to cheat our way. Even with a big old roll, we didn't have to cheat or anything to get it back going again. How's our suspension doing? If the suspension goes... I mean, we're seeing how much this is bouncing around now. The suspension goes in this, we are going to be in for a really, really, really bad time. I have a feeling we're going to be in for a really upside-down time at the rate that this is going. Please put your wheels on the ground, thank you. We need all wheels in contact at the ground. At the ground? With the ground? Preferably not in the ground, though. Just wheels touching ground. Allow me to do the steerings, please. It's made a lap. It's made a lap. It's certainly not in pristine condition. One of the doors is flapping. Actually, a little bit at the back looks like that might not take another hit or another roll. That might fall off. I seem to remember last time... It's been a long time since I drove an ambulance around a destruction circuit. I seem to remember last time it completely and utterly disintegrated the back box on it, essentially. I don't know whether we're going to see that here. This track kills cars in a different way to Baja Rama and so on. It kind of focuses on rattling the suspension apart and shaking other things loose in the process, rather than outright big crashes. Oh! We have blown out a tyre. That's unexpected. We have lost a tyre. Can we get across those rocks? We can. We are still quick enough and good enough on the old suspension department to get across the rocks. I can slightly concerned about that. Well, with the rear tyre down like that, rear left corner is kind of running quite low to the ground, which is less than ideal. We have lost the radiator. That's also trouble. Are we going to see two... Could this be the first episode where we have two vehicles go out from an overheating issue? I don't think we've had an episode yet in this series to have two vehicles. The clutch is getting warm. I'm not quite sure why the clutch is getting warm. It's not being activated. Through all of this. Shouldn't be. But there we go. It's not like the Delta that was stuck on a hill and not really having enough power from the engine to get it going up a hill. Oh, we've taken a battering. We can only just make... Oh, we only just made it on the landing there of that jump. The rear suspension is doing funky things. The gurney or whatever's in the back wants to be out of the back. In fact, it's very nearly fallen out of one of the doors. This is a good showing, though, by the ambulance. This is a very, very good showing by the ambulance. I'm impressed. I'm a lot more impressed with this than I thought it was. I thought this was going to be pretty quick death. I thought this was going to be a pretty quick death. Oh, not again. Not again. There we go. We gathered it back up. It's hardly going around here the fastest, but we are going to make it on towards a lap number 3, and not many vehicles have done that. Not many vehicles have done that whatsoever, and this is big and heavy and cumbersome. And falls over a fair bit. And the clutch is giving it a little bit of grief, but it's fine. I'm very impressed. I'm very, very impressed with this so far, as we're going to head our way through the chicanes. Oh, we were very alarmingly close. What went on with the back of that? Okay, it's fine. There was a horrible thought went through my mind. The rear axle was doing funky things. They were not. It is still attached. Doesn't feel very safe back there. Yeah, this heavy-duty suspension. This is what will survive around here. This is what will do it. The radiator is eventually, I think, well, the overheating will get the car one way or another. That overheating will put out the ambulance. However, that suspension has done a remarkable job for what is a very top-heavy, what is a very heavy vehicle, travelling at pretty good speed a lot of the time here. The suspension is holding up really well. I'm a little far wide there, still good. That's another jump. It's another jump for the ambulance with no trouble. Here we go, up. Oh, over the next jump. I mean, that's what caught out the bus. We are going to have no problems in the ambulance. We haven't also taken off the top of it on that metal gantry, I guess you could say, in that little viewing platform area. The overheating is going to start kicking in. This is actually really not being chucked about too badly down there. That's done I think that's why this is surviving so well. You can see it's just not getting thrown about in the same way. It's just not getting affected. It's not getting wobbled around. We might make it onto, if we are very lucky, onto a fourth lamp, but it probably won't be too much longer if we don't have a big catastrophic failure here. We've lost a door. A door has come off the side. The rest of it, it's still going. It still doesn't die. Oh, although we have also pinged off a lot of the side panel. I've just noticed how much of that side panel is close to falling off. Oh, there we go. Just about to see. Oh, just about to see. Yeah. Another big hit across that jump. Not that I don't think... the engine in this is a sturdy engine. The engine in this is a sturdy engine, but I don't think even this can survive another lap at basically max temperature before it melts something important. In fact, judging by the fact that we are struggling to now pass 30 miles an hour, suggests to me that we are probably going to be in a bit of trouble soon. However, it has made it. It has made it onto a fourth lap, and not very many vehicles have done that whatsoever. Can we make it further? I think it was the Satsuma gave up as we went across the bumps down here. Can we make it? Oh, it's dying. The ambulance is dying. It's very, very poorly through there. Yep, it's gone. Engine's locked. Can't even roll it, really. Everything's locked up. The engine has broken on the ambulance. It's gone, but it put up a hell of a fight. It put up one hell of a fight. I mean, that's... that was not very far away from being able to, yeah, basically just peeling off the entire side of that. That was very, very not far away from it. That suspension, I mean, you can see it's still got pretty good suspension movement through it all. It's not locked up, it's not seized up, which we have seen from some of the big, heavier vehicles. As I thought it might be kind of the way to go. It might be the way to go. Mixture between heavy duty and still normal, still not too heavy weight-wise. And that is an impressively long survival. On to the leaderboard, and we have a new vehicle on the podium at least. The ambulance goes into a third place. Couldn't quite manage as far as the 200BX. However, it wasn't that far away whatsoever. That is an impressive showing from a big, heavy vehicle. It just beats out the Satsuma. The mile counter on the vehicles is not massively accurate. In this case, the ambulance did roll a little bit further down the road, although it was very similar between the pair of them. The Covet, the 1.5 litre all-wheel drive car, would go into a 7th place. Actually, still a fairly respectable distance, if you like. Again, overheating failure on that one. Couldn't quite match the Delta 88 or the Sunburst, however, beats the Regency, beats the I-Series, beats the ETK 800. The Regency's mileometer was very broken, so was the car, let's be honest there. But that's, yeah, not a bad showing. It's much better than the rest of the modern small cars. That, though, is going to be it for this video. As ever, I shall link all the mods used in the description if you want to download them and have a go with them yourself. That's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.